Hello, everybody. Hello. Well, welcome to Nikki Nights. Oh my gosh, it's so interesting doing this once a week now because there was for a while we were doing it like almost every week. I mean every day, and now I only get once a week with you, and I miss you. I don't know if you miss me, but I miss you. But I'm super excited for my guest today. Kimmy Gatewood is here, writer, actress, comedian, just going over her bio. Very, very impressive. You know her from the show Glow. Um, I'm excited to talk to her about her new movie that she just directed, The Babysitters Club. Oh, come on. You all remember that. Yes, she just directed the new film. So I'm excited to chat with her. Here she is. Hey,
Hi,
how are ya?
I'm good, thanks. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Where am I talking to you from?
In a garage in Mount Washington or Highland Park, Los Angeles.
Nice, nice. Yes, good old LA.
Mm-hmm.
But you're originally from Maryland.
Yes.
See,
Sure. Not too far from Baltimore.
I tell you, I don't know. I don't have like a sixth sense, when it comes to like all things Baltimore. I don't. No, no, I do. Yeah, I magically knew. No, I was reading and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's amazing, Maryland. I've been there a bunch, no shocker, and I love it. It's got such character.
Yeah, it's cute. It's cute. It's a good place to grow up. I kind of grew up in the rural area, so it was a lot of like us playing laser tag and bowling and like playground tag or whatever outside and dodgeball.
Yeah, see, you know what? I grew up in a neighborhood where, yeah, you went outside and like you played ball. Even when I would go on vacations with my family, like we would go to the Jersey Shore on vacation, and all the neighborhood kids would come out every night and we play like baseball or whatever. Like, and now I feel like today's generation, while it's amazing that there's so much technology, I feel like they're not like getting out there and playing stickball like we did.
I don't know because I don't have a teenager. I have a 5-year-old and she's forced to go outside every day. So who knows? Maybe it's a brighter future.
Yes, I hope so. Because I remember just some of those were just some of my favorite memories growing up.
Me too.
So
And
did
get,
you
hmm?
did you get into theater right away?
um, yeah, I think I what was my first theater experience? My grandparents took me to the Kennedy Center when I was a kid. And my first show was Into the Woods, and I was like, I want to be Little Red Riding Hood or and nothing else. And I think that that's probably been my mantra forever: be the quirky, weird, funny side character.
Yeah.
Um, um, and yeah, from there, I ddidn't know how to. I feel like a refrain in my life is I didn't know how to get into the club where people do stuff, because
Yeah.
my mom, 20 when she had me, my dad was 19, so it was like, it was they were figuring it out as much as I was, and then eventually got into middle school and did the theater program as well as the band and marching band and
Yes. I love that. What did you play in the marching band?
well, I still play the trombone. Anyone who's close to me loves this fact that I weirdly play the trombone. I still play to this day in Paul F. Tompkins band occasionally, and anyone who'll let me. And Jordan Katz, he hires me sometimes to
I
play.
love that.
It's like my secret identity.
Well, it's like a really, when I remember back in the day, like when we would film out, like I remember when I had to fill out my first resume and they were like, put special skills, and I'm like, special skills. But that's like, a really good special skills. Mine was like, I played softball, like that's a really good special skill because you could actually like use that.
Well, I tried to get I my one of my first auditions in New York is I waited in a cattle call for Cabaret when they were doing it because, play the
Yeah.
trombone. It was very useful. Um, and I was singing the song "Give Me One Reason to Stay Here" by Tracy Chapman, which, if you recall, is she says the same thing 14,000 times in a row, right? That's pretty much the only lyrics to the song. And I get to the audition and I play my trombone part, and then they're like, okay, now you're going to sing your song. And I'm like, hold on. And I had to go and look because I completely forgot the words of the song. And I'm like, oh, right.
I mean, let me tell you, that song, though, I can get lost in that song for hours, just like singing it over and over again.
I'll turn right back
Uh,
around.
yeah, it's like, okay, but you turned around, right? Okay, all right, we're gonna turn around again one more time for the people in the back. But that is a song. That is a song. I think my first audition song, when I think about it, other than Hairspray, I think it was Something to Talk About by Bonnie Raitt.
Oh my God, listen to us. Like,
I
kind
know.
of the alt country.
Yeah, there was a point in time, a lot of people don't know this weird fact about me. When I was about like 13, 14, I used to have my little karaoke machine, and I used to have all of my karaoke tracks to like whatever songs that I wanted to cover. And I would take them, my little binder, I'd pack up my mic, and on the weekends, like 14, I was gigging and playing like Long Island restaurants and bars, and it was so fun. But like that was wild back then. Like, because it's interesting now, I haven't seen really restaurants do that, with young entertainers. And I just thought that was really cool back then that the restaurants near where I lived were very supportive of me in that way.
I mean, I'm also sure word got around that you were a gifted singer, and they're like, yeah, yeah, come here.
Oh my gosh, I was that person, like, oh, I would sing my parents' wedding song and like dedicate it to them, like cheese ball, but it was so fun.
I mean, I lived in New York for about 10 years, and we used to perform. I feel like in lieu of singing, it was just doing comedy in restaurants for a long time. And so I would just do like comedy in the back of a Chinese food restaurant, and like there was this famous like laundry room or laundromat show that was going, a comedy show that went on forever, and like people just like any space that they could perform and showcase their material and their original stuff, people would go to. Performed at the Gershwin Hotel for many years. It was just like wherever you could.
Well, that's the magical part about New York, though. I feel like the city, it takes like these obscure locations. It can be a laundromat, it can be whatever. And then when they put like talented people there or they make something cool about it, it becomes like a new hotspot and everybody's hanging out at the laundromat. Or, that's so, yeah, I'm a New Yorker, so I totally understand that. Yeah.
I mean, I put on a play above like a Times Square deli, like on the second floor. They're like, you. I mean, like the thing is that New York, it's like there's not a lot of space, and if there is space, it's expensive. So you're like always bargaining for just like a place to do your weird Carney theater show.
It's so true. I remember, the first time I had to put myself like down on a self tape and do like it really professional with like editing and all of that stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to pay so much money for this, like, and just to rent the room for like a half hour. Yeah, it's you know, I learned that in order to make money in this business, I had to spend a lot on audition tapes.
Yeah. Well, I learned that's why I taught myself how to do everything because I didn't have any money. None of us had any money, but
Yeah.
like I just taught myself how to work a camera, how to edit, how, to upload stuff through certain websites, and how to color correct, how to,
Yeah.
it certainly is a little more accessible now to actors. There's so many great little apps that you can use, like, what is it, Slateable? That one's awesome. Um, but yeah, it's like it's so expensive to try to make money, and the unfortunate thing is like when you start making money, then people start giving you stuff for free. So you're like, what kind of system is this?
I know, it's like it's very strange. Yeah, I didn't understand that in the beginning. Like when I started my career with the people would send like, oh, try this product or try, and I was like, I felt bad accepting it. I was like, oh, I'm not comfortable accepting this. Like, but now, I always just make sure like do a thank you post and
Oh yeah, I'm so appreciative of it just because of where like how long it's been and like the first time I got like a fancy candle, I was like, this is the best day of my life. And I'm like,
Yeah,
this is making up for 15 years of work. This
yeah.
time.
Standing in line at that audition and yeah. I get it. I totally get it. And it reminds me, honestly, it's funny, we're talking about the actor struggle or whatever. Like, sometimes a struggle, sometimes whatever. It's just the way of life. But I had to refresh myself and watch the beginning of Glow, which
Mhm.
you were on. How can you tell us how you like got involved in that? And
Yeah. So I play Stacy Beswick, one of the beatdown biddies on Glow, and RIP. It didn't get renewed, or it got unrenewed for a fourth season, which is a bummer.
I'm so
Um,
sorry.
but so my best friend and I, Rebecca Johnson, who plays Dawn on the show, we've been doing a comedy group called the Apple Sisters for about 13 years now. We're a comedy trio, 1940s comedy trio. We just had a show in October um, at Dynasty Typewriter, so we're still at it, baby. Um, and we were kind of at the point in our career. This was, I don't know, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, where I was like, I think I'm just gonna go do something else for a little while. So I had like interviewed for a job to run a podcast network, and they were going to fly me out to New York, and then this audition came in through my manager at the time, and it was like to audition for Glow, Genji Cohen's new show, and I was like, oh my god, I'm such a big fan of Glow when I was a kid, and it's Genji Cohen who is like the coolest, best like ensemble builder of all times. Um, and it was written by Liz Flahive and Carly Mensch, who are incredibly funny and gifted writers. And I thought there was no way I was going to get this, just because like that's the way this career is. It's just like you're constantly you're trying to be an optimist, but you're just like, I'm going to be a pessimist because then it just won't hurt as much anymore.
Yeah.
so, so we went and auditioned, and the audition was with this casting director, Jen Houston, who's absolutely incredible. She's a New Yorker. Um, and she had seen the Apple Sisters many years before and asked us to audition together because they wanted real life best friends and comedy partners. So we fit the bill perfectly, but I was still like in harsh denial that I even had a chance. So we went and auditioned together, and then we were just like, all right, well, I'm gonna go get on this plane. And then I was like, let me just wait a minute before I book the plane. And we got a call back for it, and I was like, all right, universe, this is a hilarious joke. This is never gonna happen. We didn't know what to expect at the callback because they didn't give us sides. They just said, can you just come up with some tag team characters? And so Rebecca and I went in with about like a 20-minute sketch comedy show, basically, because we're like, we got nothing to lose. Um, and yeah, we did a multiple characters, and we said, okay, anytime you don't want to see anymore, just stop us at any point. So we just kept going, and then they sat down and asked us questions. And then a few days later, I was having coffee with my friend, and I was like, I'm gonna turn off my phone because I don't want anyone to interrupt us.
Yeah. Oh, I've had those moments. Yeah.
That was the moment when they were called, like I got like 18 voicemails being like, call me back, Kimmy, because we got the part. So
I love that.
it changed my life. It gave me a platform which I never had before, being on a you know beloved show that's respected by both fans and peers for 3 seasons, and it's really helped boost my visibility in this industry. So I'm grateful forever, and also just the amazing camaraderie, friendship, and female cast members that I got to work with.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's the best part is like, I've been a part of a few productions where we've started and we've had a great strong start, and then unfortunately we don't get picked up again, but those bonds and those relationships that you build are there forever. And the great thing, I always tell people, I'm like, it's on, you know it's there forever. It's on TV, it's on video. Well, not, I guess people don't even use DVD players anymore, right?
You know what? Netflix still does have DVD rentals, so It's possible.
I every now and again I'm like, people will be like, "Oh, do you have the DVD of Hairspray?" I'm like, "No, I do, but I don't even know where would I put that now, because in my laptop there's no slot for that anymore.
I tell you
It's
where you put it, Nikki.
uh,
When you get your minivan like I have, because for your production vehicle or whatever, there's a DVD player in the back, and then you can just entertain your child so that you can listen to your good podcast.
oh my gosh. So, okay, what's one of your favorite podcasts, and while you're listening to it, what do you play for your child?
So she usually uses Cars 2, watches like Cars
Oh.
2, which is hilarious because I'm like, Cars 2? Not,
Yeah.
or she'll watch Toy Story 4 just because those are new. Her new favorite film is Spies in Disguise, which, no, but that, like, I don't, that one kind of came and went, but is insanely popular, I think, with the kids. What do I listen to? I listen to the LA podcast, which is all about local politics, which I love. The
Mm.
Daily New York Times. I'm just really into news podcasts right now. And I really like 99% Invisible. Um, yeah, those are kind and the NPR politics. But that's just this is a very specific time you're asking me about what podcast I listen to.
True. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I listened to a few political ones, but then also I just did one this morning that I love. It was called The Shit Show. And I was like, oh, wow. So it's like about my life, right? But it was so much fun. And I think podcasts are like a great way for people to just get introduced to different people. And I've had a blast doing mine. And so have you ever hosted a podcast? You said you had, for that job.
Yes, so the Apple Sisters had a podcast on the Earwolf Network for a while. I've done a ton of podcasts. Love me some Lauren Lapkus or some Lennon Parham and Jessica St. Clair. And there's also Throwing Shade with Aaron Gibson and Brian Safi. That's an amazing podcast. I currently have a podcast that has about one more episode left to go called Mother of All Shows, and it's like a deep dive into all issues that are surrounding motherhood. So actually, we the first half of the season was pre-pandemic, so we were talking about issues of judgment, and this is for people who have kids, thinking about having kids, or like to judge parents. So, um, yeah, we were looking at different, issues from everything from like communes to, guns. And then more recently, because of the pandemic, we were talking about homeschooling and racism and the Black Lives Matter movement and how it affects children. So I had some really thought-provoking conversations with someone who over at iCivics and my most recent one was a conversation about domestic workers and how that affects parenthood. So it kind of became like, there's still humor in it. It kind of lived in the world of the John Oliver Sam Bee world, interviews and conversations, and felt very, meaningful. And it almost feels like a time capsule. If you want to go back to whenever is it, there's an episode that happened in March. It'll be like the last episode we did before we got locked down.
Before, yeah.
So weird.
Right. Like there was a time before this. We all just don't, we're like, when was it? There was. It's like the land before time. It's, I don't know. But
There were dinosaurs and
yeah.
volcanoes that exploded ice.
My friend who's obsessed with chocolate, you mentioned dinosaurs. This is how my brain works. She sends me a meme today that says, chocolate is vital for our survival. Dinosaurs didn't have chocolate, and look what happened to them. So dinosaurs for you. But I think, having kids, I don't have kids. I have a goddaughter, but I have to ask this, I think, to, as an actor, but as somebody who's just curious, would you let your kid get into the business? Is it something you would encourage, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I would. I would. My folks were always very just encouraging about. I mean, I was either going to be like a doctor, a biologist, or an actor, and this is just kind of where things ended up. I would definitely encourage her to do it. She's already been in an Apple Sister show. She wanted to. She asked to be. I directed a Plum Organics commercial, and she was in it with Rebecca's son. Actually, they're the same age, and it was like, again, it's like this little time capsule of them at like 6 months old. They're so cute. Um, but she's, only if she expresses interest. I would never force her to do anything. She asked to take acting lessons, so I have a friend who Becca White, who's a coach, and she was coaching her for a little while, and then with Zoom school, it was too much. So I was like, cool, we don't have to do it right now.
Yeah.
Um, but she likes to take pictures. I mean, I'm kind of pushing for a DP, but that's just
I love it. Yeah.
female DP. I mean, both of her parents are directors now, so it's like I wouldn't mind that either. She could listen. If I could give her the Coppola treatment, I would. If I could give her full nepotism, if that's what she wants, like
Yeah.
on board.
I love that. Yeah.
Daughter of a contractor and like a housewife who became an accountant. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, let's do it. I want to
Yeah.
start a new Hollywood dynasty.
Yeah. Family affair. Like, and it's true. I mean, I've seen certain actors, like I've watched, it's been interesting. John Travolta, his daughter Ella has started to act, but it's like he has this beautiful approach with her. Like he lets her do her thing and like watches her shine, and she's coming into her own. But I think it's really awesome to to see these actors like yourself or like anybody else who has kids, let them be creative enough to even just spark the interest and know that the possibility is there. I think that's with my goddaughter. I just always tell her, I'm like, anything is possible. I was telling on the podcast today, I was like, if I can use my platform for one thing, it's just to encourage people to just dream big, just dream really big, because you literally never know what can happen. And I feel like with the story you just told about Glow, like I think it's in us naturally to be like, okay, it could happen, but no, it can't happen. And then occasionally it does happen. And now here we are in our garage in our back sunroom talking about it.
Glamour at its
Glad.
finest.
I know. As somebody said to me, as I was doing my, I was doing makeup and I was just like feeling crappy, and I took a screenshot and I was like, oh yeah, here you go, final product, sex at its finest. And she was like, oh my, did you say sex at its finest? I was like, yeah, Lord knows whatever comes out of my mouth. But so, what have you been doing to keep busy during the quarantine? I mean, other than being a mom and homeschooling, because I imagine that's had to have taken up a lot of your time and kept you pretty busy.
No, my husband does that. I am writing two screenplays with my writing partner, Allison Becker. And I finished my first feature at the beginning of the pandemic, working on the podcast, and going to be directing some television next year. So I'm looking forward to jumping into the old PPE train soon.
Yes.
So yeah, it's been a productive pandemic, and I shot a short film that I hope to put on sorry, my background, to put on uh, this is the person that I'm renting their garage, doing their laundry.
Well, hello.
um, yeah, I shot a short film called Navel Gazers that I'm going to be doing some fundraising for soon enough, and I'm really excited about it. And yeah, we shot it over Labor Day, so in the midst of pandemic times, and it's been a lot of fun. Definitely what this pandemic has done is opened up a whole other part of my career, which is writing feature films. Like I've been doing it for a while, but they finally came to fruition because people had some time to develop. So that was nice.
Yes. Yeah. I've never written a screenplay in my life, but I just decided at the beginning of the pandemic to start writing. And I started writing a book, and I started writing a couple of templates for screenplays and stuff like that. So it's been a pretty creative time as well, because I think, we didn't have the time to necessarily like sit down before and like spend all this time with ourselves and our ideas. So but I was watching the trailer for the Babysitters Club. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. I mean, that brought me right back to high school. So that's awesome. I was like, yes. And you directed that.
I directed an episode, yeah, and I'll be directing 4 episodes for season 2. So
That's so cool.
I go to Vancouver in a couple months, and they're just the most talented people. And Rachel Schuchert, the showrunner, it has done an absolute incredible job just updating and bringing these characters back to life. And Lucia Agnello, who did she's an EP on the show and did the pilot, like just made such a heartwarming, beautiful, sincere show that I think will like live on for years and hopefully 7 or 8 seasons.
Yeah. I know it's weird. When I first started with film, it was like, you do the job and that's it and it's over. But then there's a different, I think a different anxiety that comes with TV because you're constantly, you're putting a product out there, but then you're waiting for like whatever to hear some type of validation for another season. And I think for me, that's one of the massive differences because people always ask me, what's the biggest difference for you with film and TV? I'm like, well, there's a ton, but for me, that's the one where that's where it gets tricky because it's, and it's also, character evolving and all that stuff. What do you find the major difference between television and film?
As what, an actor, a writer, director?
Actor, I would say actor, director, if you can answer it in like, with
Concisely.
under both, no, under both hats, like under the director
Right.
hat and then under the right.
I mean, as an actor, I think the biggest difference between TV and film is that you're in television, you're much more in touch with your character because you live in the shoes of the character for a long time. So when a director comes in, it's much more about a conversation of the actor being in charge of the character and saying like, my character wouldn't do this, we wouldn't sit with this person, this happened in this 2 episodes ago, and I would like Dawn and Stacey always sit together, so don't try to separate us.
Yeah.
So, or whatever it is. And I think I learned that on Glow, which was really awesome to be able to like live in a character for so long. And whereas in movies, you're oftentimes trying to create the character in the moment with the director, and it's very much more about the director's vision. Um, and you are telling one big story, beginning, middle, and end. So there needs to be a bit. You have to have a firm grasp on the character's journey for the smaller, not for it, the large story, but like the film story.
Yeah.
Um, and as a director, I believe that you're a guest in the television show's home, and you are there. They like it since they've been living in the characters for so long. You defer to what the actors and writers have to say, and you just try to get things done as quickly as possible because your job is to get a show done on time and on budget. And kind of this, I mean, film. It's much more about you know your broad sweeping vision, thinking about big themes. What are you trying to say with your movie? And ultimately, depending on the budget of the film, it really changes a lot.
Oh yes. Oh yes. It's always so. That's always a funny thing. The good old budget.
Yeah.
Good old
Hmm.
budget. So, where can we keep up with you? I know you're on the Instagram.
On the gram,
Uh,
um, I'm at Kimmy Gatewood cross platforms, and that's not my dog. I don't know if you can hear that dog. Across all platforms, and you can always watch any of my short films. Control, written by Allison Becker, on my website, kimmygatewood.com, or Consent, written by Rebecca Johnson, about said topic. And yeah, I'm looking forward to a bigger, brighter 2021.
you and me both. It's been, I mean, there aren't really any words at this point. Like in the beginning, I noticed I was saying, yeah, it's a tough experience. It's an interesting experience. It's a eye-opening experience. Now I'm just like,
Never ending.
Yeah, it's just like there are no words really. So I'll let you know how I feel the experience is at the end of it. Because dear God, please let it end soon. But
Definitely need a new way to greet people when you see it. It's like, hi, how you doing? That's not a 20, that should be erased from 2020 and just be
yeah,
like, hey, what are you doing next year? I don't know.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Hey, hope next year is way better for you. Just like, ugh.
Yeah.
But it's concerning because even my hometown, and I am just absolutely just totally upset. They've been having these massive weddings with like hundreds of people, and I'm like, and now my hometown, which I don't live there anymore, but they have the highest numbers of COVID on Long Island. So I'm just really trying to just please beg everybody to stay home as much as you can and wear a mask and just be responsible. Like,
Wear a mask, she said.
just wear a mask, have a cup of coffee on Long Island and wear a mask and call it a day. Call your mother, you know.
Call your grandma, call your auntie.
Oh my gosh. Well, Kimmy Gatewood, thank you so much. And I'll give you a call.
Thank you. We'll have coffee.
Sounds good. I'll
All
see
right.
you later.
Bye.
Bye. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Sometimes on Long Island, we do talk like that. When Long Islanders get around other Long Islanders, like if I had my friends here, like you guys hear me talk pretty, like, in my, Nikki way. But when I am around other Long Islanders, you'll hear the Long Island come out and yeah, we draw it out a little bit. So, well, welcome to Long Island. If you didn't know that you've been watching Nikki Nights from Long Island every single week. But thank you again to everybody who tunes in and listens. Your support just means so much to me. And this podcast, it's more than a podcast for me at this point, really. It's way more than that. It's such a creative outlet for me. I'm a very creative person. You guys know this, but I was on the Shit Show podcast this morning and I was just talking about how much music means to me, how I express everything through song, and I'm a very passionate person. And so the fact that I get to do this podcast and you guys listen, and you just let me be a part of your day means so much because I'm still a girl with a dream. Um, I got Tracy, but that was my first dream. And I think it's really important in life, as I was talking on the podcast earlier, to your dreams to be ever evolving. We're ever evolving as people. We should be growing and learning every day, whether it's from the food we eat to the music we listen to. Try, explore. Don't be afraid to step outside of your comfort zone and dream really freaking big. I'm feeling very inspired today. I don't know if it's because I'm 32 now, but no, I think it's just because I feel every single day when I wake up just still so blessed, and that feeling will never go away. The blessing of Tracy Turnblad and the blessing of, and people always say to me, "Oh, you talk about Hairspray." Yeah, I do, because it means something to me, and it means something, clearly to the fans. So I'm just really thankful again to all of you for loving and supporting me all these years, watching Nikki Nights, to Kimmy Gatewood for sharing her stories. If you haven't checked out Glow, it's amazing. Go check it out. And, her other projects, she's really doing serious, quality work that really is meaningful. So please go check it out, like the project she just mentioned, and follow her on Instagram. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, like, hey, I don't know what you're waiting for. No, go follow me at Nikki Blonsky, and I'll see you guys soon. And until then, I'm sending you all virtual hugs. Be safe. Wear a mask. Wear a mask. Wear a mask. Wear a mask and save a life. Goodbye.